Name is Billy Dotson, and I have recently successfully completed the full stack bootcamp with Max Technical Training, where we learned .NET, Java, C Sharp, SQL, Angular, as well as many other technologies. I also studied microcomputing technology for 1 year at Columbus State Community College. My interest in software development began in high school during my 2 years of studying computer science. Throughout the years, I built and repaired computers, modified and customized video games, and was a beta tester for Windows 7. Over my career, I always found myself interested in the software used for automotive technology, as I spent the majority of my professional career in the automotive field. Completing the coding bootcamp at Max reaffirmed my decision to pursue my passion and build a career in software development. I'm extremely excited to finally turn my passion into a career and contribute to your organization's goals and projects. My technology topic is SQL. Here's a brief overview. It is used to interact with relational databases. A relational database organizes data into tables like an Excel spreadsheet. SQL works by understanding and analyzing data of virtually any size, from small data sets to large stacks. It is a very powerful tool that enables you to perform many functions at high efficiency and speed. The way in which it interacts with databases is non-procedural. This means SQL's syntax is very simple, and the coder only has to specify what to do, not how to do it. These interactions are essentially commands, which fall into 5 categories: data definition, data manipulation, data control, transaction control, and data query. SQL is a cornerstone for pretty much every modern business, as data is one of the most valuable commodities in the world. Being able to manipulate, define, control, and understand that data is crucial. SQL allows you to do all these things and more. Thank you for your time, and now on to the next speaker, Ian.
Hello and good afternoon. My name is Ian Smith. Upon graduating high school, I attended the University of Cincinnati for civil engineering. At the same time, I started working full-time at Target. While attending UC, I took 2 MATLAB programming courses, which opened my eyes to the infinite possibilities of coding. Eventually, I was promoted to take on a leadership role at my job, at which point I left college to focus on my career. As a team leader, I successfully led multiple logistics-based processes while maintaining several departments at the most profitable store in the district. In my new position, I was exposed to more of Target's employee-used software. With my knowledge of MATLAB, I began thinking through how the software I used to achieve daily tasks might have been written and was increasingly curious about how it functioned. During the pandemic, I decided to leave Target and enter into an industry I could wholly devote myself to. Recalling my programming classes, I began to look for a way to break into software development. That's when I found Max Technical Training. I recently completed their coding bootcamp, where I gained invaluable experience with C Sharp, Java, SQL, HTML, and knowledge on how to utilize technologies like web APIs, Angular, and Entity Framework. I'm eager to use these skills and further grow them as I began my career as a developer. As a part of our graduation, I've chosen to share one of the technologies we learned, an incredible piece of technology, Entity Framework 4. So, Entity Framework, what is it, you may be wondering? It is an object relational mapping framework that provides communication between relational and non-relational systems. What does that even mean? Well, let me start with where Entity Framework sits. If you're looking at a complete application, Entity Framework would exist in between the C Sharp code and the database, allowing for the 2 systems to quote-unquote speak to each other via built-in functions. This means that with a single statement, a developer can make a call in Visual Studio through Entity Framework to a database. Without Entity Framework, that same statement would be a far more complex body of code that's length would more closely resemble an essay a high school would write about the Lord of the Rings. .NET developers who utilize Entity Framework can easily create and modify tables and their corresponding columns within the database. Developers can even have Entity Framework auto-generate repetitive lines of code. This means Entity Framework allows for some much needed code simplifying and time saving for developers. So what is Entity Framework? Simply put, it is a very useful tool in a developer's ever-growing arsenal of technologies. Thank you for your time, and now allow me to introduce my fellow cohort member, Jack.
Hello, my name is Jack Lambert, and I successfully completed the Max Full Stack Coding Bootcamp, where I learned skills such as C#, Java, SQL, Angular, and many other development tools and technologies. Previously, I completed my bachelor's in music education at Miami University, where I then taught in Dayton Public Schools, where I helped to build a new band program across the district. Additionally, while I was there, I created an inventory and tracking system for the instruments that were at the schools, the two buildings that I worked at my time there. However, once COVID-19 came in March of 2020, it drastically altered the teaching space, and I realized I needed a shift in my career. In 2021, I took a software support position at MRI Software in Cleveland, where I engaged with customers directly to solve and document bugs and other front-end issues. It was here, working with the software, that made me interested in more and more about learning how the code worked behind the scenes. So I found Max and started diving into software development. And now I'm open to remote opportunities or hybrid and in-person opportunities local to Cleveland, where I'll be returning to once the bootcamp concludes. My restorative and communication skills were honed during my teaching experience, and I'm excited to take these skills to full stack software development. And now I'm going to speak to you shortly about one of our technologies we learned during the bootcamp. Today, I'm going to speak to you a little bit about C#, which was one of our primary coding languages we learned during the bootcamp. It's how we built the backend to our capstone project. C# is a general purpose coding language. This means that it can be used in a wide variety of applications and projects. Some of these include web applications, console applications, and games, and many more. This flexibility is what makes it such a powerful language for people to learn, because it gives them a wide variety of things that they can do with that language. This was also developed by Microsoft, which means it integrates very easily with the Microsoft suite and systems. So if your business is already familiar with Microsoft, this could be something that could be very easily added and used in your business. Initially, when I started coding, I was ready for C# to be very, very difficult and take a lot longer of a learning curve. However, it has a lot of aspects about it that make it much more straightforward than I was expecting. In particular, one of the benefits C# has over a language like JavaScript is that C# will be able to detect and find errors for you before you run your program. And in most cases, be able to point you to a fix for it as well. This almost makes development too easy. Visual Studio as well has a large number of different tools and packages that you can add to it to enhance your product and your development. One tool in specific you just heard about, which was Entity Framework, which takes something that when we first learned it, took about a couple hundred lines of code, turns it down into a couple lines itself. For me personally, I would rather do that than the hundreds of lines again. Thank you for coming out, and I'm going to hand this off to our my next cohort member, which will be Josh.
Hi, I hope everyone is doing well today. My name is Josh Scott, and I recently completed the intensive coding boot camp here at Max Technical Training. And to tell you a little something about myself, I love learning, building, and problem solving. To give you an example, I built a 1970 Oldsmobile Cutlass with no prior knowledge and just took it part by part. I just learned all I could about each component of it, taking it apart, fixing, putting it back together, and moving on to the next part. And in the end, I had a working vehicle, which was pretty cool. I feel like this translates into programming with applications where you have different components you put together and the coding, and in the end, you have a working application. I spent the last 15 years in the mortgage industry as a mortgage underwriter and a supervisor. During that time, I continuously learned new products and programs and trained the underwriting staff. I ended up leading a successful team of 17 mortgage underwriters that became the best group in terms of speed and quality in the entire company, which was a little overwhelming with late nights and lots of weekends, but I was always there for my team. I've always enjoyed working on programs and learning new systems. In fact, when there was a downturn in the mortgage industry, I taught myself some basic code and created a small side game using if-else statements and variables. And during this last downturn, well, here we are, which has been really great since I was able to pursue something I've always dreamed about doing, programming. One thing I wanted to talk about today was the purchase request system we built and some of the features we implemented. It was really fun and challenging to build. This might be a little boring for you, so I'll try to be brief. First, the users or employees are required to log in prior to accessing the system and can be set up to have different roles like a reviewer, an admin, or just regular users. And this can be customized based on business needs. All users would create purchase requests in the system under their username and see their own requests or make changes. but only certain users, like a manager, for example, have access to approve or reject these requests. The role for the logged in user is checked prior to displaying the data. And one of the cooler features is the automated business rules that we set up for individual business needs. Example, the one that we set up, where requests were less than or equal to $50, were automatically marked as approved, rather than getting everyone involved for small requests, and this freed up business resources. These automated rules can be scaled if the business decides they want more or less. If the company wants to tighten up financially, the code can be easily adjusted rather than trying to update the documentation and retrain employees. It's automatically implemented, and who doesn't like that? Thank you for coming. I appreciate you taking the time to visit with me. And now, here's Sam.
Hello, thank you. My name is Sam Schultz. Recently, I've successfully completed an intensive 13-week full-stack software developer course that taught me Java, .NET, C#, and Angular. Prior to that, I studied cybersecurity for 1.5 years at Davenport University, where while actively working at the Red Wing Shoe Company as a sales manager, where I managed a team of 5. Unfortunately, when COVID hit, it became difficult to continue schooling. So I had to put my education on pause to focus on my career at Red Wing Shoes. While working, I found that no matter what the job entails, I put my absolute best into my work to ensure the product is above the expected quality. One of my largest achievements was being the top salesman for my franchise for all 3 years of my employment. My strongest strength is my ability to curate a strategy for any project or team that I'm working on, coupled with my ability to adapt in the most stressful of situations. While I enjoyed my time in sales, I'm extremely grateful that I took the time to discover my passion for programming, as I found myself longing to get back into the tech world where I had always found a natural joy in learning and solving problems. Now, as I launch my career as a full-stack developer, I look forward to exploring the ever-expanding world of technology as a lifelong learner. As part of the graduation day today, I would like to present to you the topics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML acts as the foundation to websites. It's the technology that structures and formats the data the way you want it presented to the user. CSS is how we are able to design websites. It gives a variety of customization options, such as adding color to text, tables, or the background of the web page itself. It gives the ability to add emphasis and create a more appealing website for users. JavaScript is what gives the website animation by bringing functionality and user interaction to the web. This technology upgrades the website from a standard static website to a true dynamic application, where all the user needs is a web browser and an internet connection. And that brings us to the end of my topics. I would like to thank you all for taking the time to be here today. On behalf of Cohort 37, I'd like to thank you all for participating in our graduation. I'd also like to thank the staff here at MaxStream for helping us achieve our goals. Without them, none of this would be possible.